Hey YouTube, Vikings fan here. I'm going to talk about the Green Bay Packers Vikings game to open up the season Monday night at Lambeau Field. And I think the Vikings are going to win that game. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I think that way, looking at the games that we played last year and building from there. So go back to week 4, Vikings, Packers won 23-16. And Kelly Holcomb was the quarterback for the Vikings that day. Minnesota was able to gain 7.4 yards per rush, whereas Green Bay only got 2.3 yards per rush. What that says to me is Minnesota ran against Green Bay better than Green Bay ran against Minnesota. Minnesota got 5.2 yards per passing play. Green Bay got 7.3 yards per passing play. So, opposite story. Packers were able to pass against the Vikings better than the Vikings could pass against the Packers. And finally, Kelly Holcomb was sacked 5 times, lost 31 yards, and Brett Favre was only sacked once for a loss of 6 yards. And then if we look at the running backs in that game, Ryan Grant ran only 3 times for 17 yards. His long was 15, so he averaged 5, but if you take away that long, then he averaged 1. And there are a lot of other running backs they were using then, so Ryan Grant wasn't the guy yet. Adrian Peterson ran 12 times for 112 yards, which is an average of 9.333. And if you take away his long, which is 55 yards, he ran 11 times for 57, which is still over 5 yards a carry. That's really good. And Chester Taylor ran 8 times for 40 yards. That's 5 yards a carry also. Although his long was in the 30s, so the rest of his 7 carries were ineffective, to be fair. Looking at Week 10, Brooks Bollinger was the starting quarterback for Minnesota that day. And we all know how that game ended. I don't even want to say the score because it hurts Vikings fans everywhere. But looking at the game, Minnesota gained 5.7 yards per rushing play. Green Bay gained 3.8 yards per rushing play. Same story. Minnesota ran better against the Packers than they could against the Vikings. And then Minnesota had 5.6 yards per passing play, whereas Green Bay had 7.7 yards per passing play. Again, Green Bay passed against Minnesota better than Minnesota could against Green Bay. Brooks Bollinger was sacked 3 times and lost 15 yards. Brett Favre was sacked 0 times and was on fire, broke records. He had a phenomenal day. So breaking down those runners, Ryan Grant ran 25 times, they were using him a lot more now, and for 119 yards, which is almost 5 yards per carry. It's really good. And his long was 30 yards. So if you take that away, he's got 24 other carries for 89 yards, which is still respectable. That's over 3 yards a carry. Adrian Peterson had 11 carries for 45 yards, which is just over 4 yards a carry. His longest was 12, so if you take that away, he had 10 carries for 33 yards, which is just 3.3. Kind of a pedestrian day for him. And then he got hurt. Al Harris tackled him. I believe it was Harris. And he went out with a torn ligament, stayed out a few weeks, then came back and torched the Lions, which was awesome. I think Kenoy Kennedy still doesn't know where Peterson is. And finally, Chester Taylor ran twice, but he gained 59 yards. One of those runs was 50 yards, and the other was 9. So, you know, he did well with what opportunity he had. So what that means to me is that Minnesota wins the run game on both sides of the ball, but Green Bay wins the pass game on both sides of the ball. And then if we want to take a look at Aaron Rodgers versus the Vikings, he came in at the end of that game for cleanup. You know, it was garbage time. He completed 2 passes in 2 attempts for 17 yards, no picks, no touchdowns. So he was mostly handing the ball off and just finishing the game. But that's all we have as far as Aaron Rodgers versus the Vikings. And if we look at Tavares Jackson versus the Vikings, all we have is a game in 2006. Jackson was still a rookie. They didn't want to start him by then, I don't think, but because Brad Johnson left, they kind of didn't have much of a choice, and so they threw him in. And I think he had 10 completions out of 20 attempts, which is bad. 50 yards total, which is bad. and I think he threw a pick and no touchdowns. So that's all we have on Jackson versus the Packers. Since then, Jackson's had a lot of starts, has gained experience. Minnesota got Peterson, and that should help open up the passing game. So I think Tavares Jackson of 2006 was bad, but Tavares Jackson of 2008, I would say, would be better than Holcomb or Bollinger of 2007. He won't get sacked as often because he's more athletic, he can use his legs, and he's scrambled and gotten out of trouble before. And if his passing game is coming along, I mean, Holcomb and Bollinger aren't great, so I would hope that he could pass at least as well as them, and maybe a little better. That'd make me happy as a Vikings fan. So going off of this, I would say in the offseason, Minnesota's run offense stayed the same, didn't get better or worse, unless the left tackle, Bryant McKinney, is out for the first couple games, he might be. Then the run game might suffer a little bit. So the same or a little worse. Minnesota's run defense is the same defensive tackles, same linebackers, same great run defense. Green Bay's run offense, I would say, is the same, unless you guys know something I don't know. You know, and I don't follow all the Packers off-season stuff too closely, but they still have Ryan Grant, and he's the guy, so it should be the same. And Green Bay's run defense should be about the same. You guys lost that defensive tackle, and I don't know who you're putting in instead. Might be unproven talent. But anyway, about the same. So both teams' running game on both sides is the same as last year. But when you look at the passing game, I would say that Minnesota's pass offense is better because, again, Jackson is an improvement over Bollinger or Holcomb, and we added wide receiver Bernard Berrien and said goodbye to wide receiver Troy Williamson. Both of those, I would say, are good moves. So pass offense, better for the Vikings. Minnesota's pass defense also is better than last year. It should be because we added, of course, Jared Allen, great defensive end, gets a lot of sacks, and he should play very well next to Kevin Williams. And hopefully Minnesota's defensive coordinator will rotate players enough that he can stay fresh through the whole game. And also we added safety Williams, got him from the Bengals. So I would say Minnesota's pass defense has also improved. Green Bay's pass defense, I would say, is the same this year as it was last year. I don't know of anything big you did. Unless you guys get Jason Taylor, then your pass rush will improve. But Green Bay's passing offense, I would say, is going to take a step backward. And I don't want to criticize Aaron Rodgers before he has a chance to even start in the NFL, but I think if you ask an NFL fan who wasn't biased against or toward the Vikings or Packers, whether or not Green Bay's pass offense would improve, stay the same, or take a step backwards when compared to last year with Aaron Rodgers instead of Brett Favre, most people would say that the Green Bay's pass offense would take a step backward. And maybe that's not the case, but if I had to guess now, that's what I would predict would happen. So, since we should expect about the same from the running game, which Minnesota won last year, and a better pass offense and defense from Minnesota, but the same pass defense from Green Bay and maybe not as good a pass offense from Green Bay, that points to me at closing the gap between the two teams. You guys swept us last year. This year I don't see it happening, and for those reasons I think that we can win that Monday night game. Come here. Say Minnesota.
No.
Say Vikings.
No.
Who's going to win the game?
No.
The Vikings or the Packers?
No.
All right.